Hey, welcome back, guys. This is exciting. We get to talk about another miracle of Jesus. There are so many of them. There are 37, if you remember, that I've talked about that we're going to get into. Um, and so the one we're talking about today is Jesus calming a storm on the sea. And this miracle is recorded three different times in the Gospels. So you have the passage that we're going to read today from Luke 8:22 to 25. It's also found in Matthew 8:23 to 27 and Mark 4:35 to 41. Each account differs a little bit on wording and recalling some of the different details with it, but the main point of the story is still there. So it's fun to see and fun to read how different people interpret things or remember things, but it's the main point still being there. And this is one of the most talked about miracles, more popular miracles that are mentioned for a lot of reasons, and we'll get into those. But this is what it says for Matthew 8:22 to 25. One day, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and started out. As they sailed across, Jesus settled down for a nap. But soon a fierce storm came down on the lake. The boat was filling with water, and they were in real danger. The disciples went and woke him up, shouting, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. Suddenly the storm stopped, and all was calm. Then he asked them, "Where is your faith?" The disciples were terrified and amazed. "Who is this man?" they asked each other. "When he gives a command, even the wind and waves obey him." This is, like I said, a popular miracle that pastors and preachers often talk about and use in sermons to talk about having faith, to talk about trusting in Jesus, and all that stuff. But I just want to dive into this a little bit more to help you get a better understanding of exactly why this is such a big deal. So the first passage says, one day Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." Like, I imagine myself as, I think of my, back to when I was a kid, just like, hey, I want to go over there. I want to go cross the lake. I want to go see what's over there. So let's just go explore. Jesus knows what he's doing, obviously, at this point, but he's saying to them, hey, let's go over there. Who knows what we're going to find over there, but I want to go there. So let's go. It's funny if you think about it. But this lake that they're talking about is the same lake, the Sea of Galilee, or Lake Gennesaret, that, if you remember weeks ago, we talked about the miracle where Jesus let the nets down and all the fish came on the boat. It's the exact same lake. So these disciples have been on this lake before. I can about imagine as they are at the lake, they're crossing the lake, they're going to the other side, they're probably remembering this miracle that, oh yes, hey, it was right here that we had all these fish, and Jesus showed us how powerful and wonderful and amazing he is. And just thinking about all those fish and having that in the back of their heads as they're going across the lake. So it's the exact same lake. It's wonderful if to understand it in that context. So then they got in a boat and started out. As they sailed across, Jesus settled down for a nap. So guess what? Jesus napped, so then therefore I can nap, right? Is that what that's saying? Not exactly. Not exactly. But Jesus took a nap. He was, I don't know if that says anything about Jesus at the moment, but he was probably tired. I mean, he's constantly going from place to place, doing all these miracles. More and more people want to talk to him. More and more people want to just be around him. So I can imagine he got tired. He was, after all, a human being, 100% human, 100% God, but he was still human. So to me, I find that reassuring that he needed a nap. He wanted to take a nap. He was so tired that, oh, I'm just going to take a nap. So there you go. If your staff say that you can't nap, tell them Jesus took a nap. So therefore I can. No, don't do that, because then I'll get in trouble. But that speaks to me. That speaks to the mindset of Jesus at the time. Like he was such at peace with where things were that he was getting away from everybody. He was on the lake, so I mean nobody was following them. So he had this moment with his disciples where he could just kind of reflect. He could relax, and he could take it easy for a while. So he thought, hey, I'll nap sounds great, so I'm going to take a nap. Then it goes on to say, but soon a fierce storm came down on the lake. The boat was filling with water, and they were in real danger. So all of a sudden, whoosh, that starts to rain. I don't know if any of you have been at a place or near a lake where the weather can change just like that. Sometimes it happens here in Northwest Iowa. But I've been to Hawaii. I've had the fortunate chance to go to Hawaii, and just like that, it can go from being sunny to a downpour to sunny again in 15 minutes. It's just an incredible thing to experience, that it's sunny and hot. It rains hard for 15 minutes and then it's done. That's the kind of experience that these disciples were in. There was nothing to tell them that it was going to rain, and then all of a sudden it hit, and it just poured and poured and poured, and water was filling in the boat. And when you get too much water in the boat begins to sink. So they were freaking out. Like they were literally scared, probably to death. Like they were afraid that this boat was going to sink and that they were going to die. So I can about imagine the chaos that is happening. They got buckets or something, but taking their hands and scooping the water out, all that stuff. If whatever you can do to get the water out of the boat, none of it's working. And so they're getting more worried, more frustrated, more like terrified. Like, this is what's going on here. This just happened. So they were in real danger. So then it says the disciples went and woke him up, shouting, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." So they're still freaking out. And they go to Jesus. I don't know if they expected him to do what he did, but they maybe at least wanted him to know what was going on. All indications throughout all of this is that he's still sleeping. When the rain comes pouring down, when if I'm sleeping, if I'm taking a nap and all of a sudden it starts raining, I'm going to wake up. But as far as we know, Jesus was still sleeping. That's an interesting part to think about too. So they woke him up and said, "Hey, guess what? It's raining. It's raining hard. We're going to drown. This boat's going to sink. Please help us. We're freaking out. We're scared out of our minds. What can we do? Tell us what to do." Basically is what they're saying. So then it says, when Jesus woke up, so clearly he was still napping, right? When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. So again, just like that, I don't know what he said, or if he even said anything, if he just did kind of a be done kind of thing, or what, or if he said something, but he rebuked the wind and the raging waves. So whatever it is that he did, it stopped the rain, it stopped the waves, all of it was just done. So just as quick as it started, it was just as quick to end. And this is the first miracle that is recorded where Jesus has the power over nature. We've seen him interact with, where he has the power over the weather. All right. We've seen him interact with people, healing diseases, all that kind of stuff, turning water into wine, the fish in the lake. We've seen all of that stuff, but this is the first miracle where he directly interacts with the weather. He tells it to stop, and it stops. And I can imagine being a disciple, being one of the disciples in this boat and seeing him do that. And just the confusion, maybe, I'm afraid, like, this guy is legit. Like, he can stop the rain from raining. He can stop the waves from crashing onto the boat. He can stop the wind. I mean, he controls it all. Not only can he tell a fish where to go, not only can he heal leprosy from a man, not only can he turn water into wine, but he can tell the weather. He can tell the wind and the rain and the sea to stop, and it stops. And just put yourself in that position. Like, this would be an incredibly major, big deal because it had never been done before. It was something that was completely new. And, whenever we experience something new, oftentimes we're afraid because we don't understand it. So I'm sure there's a lot of that going on here with these disciples, that they're just confused. They don't know what's going on. All right. But then Jesus says, he asked them, "Where is your faith?" Now, that many preachers and pastors have talked about that in many different ways. Going from, do you have faith that Jesus is going to take care of you? Do you trust Jesus? I mean, there's a lot of different ways that this faith can be explained. And I tend to think that it has to do something with just the fact that the whole trusting Jesus part. Jesus is saying, hey, where's your faith? Like, do you really think that I would let you drown? I mean, if you stop to think about it, that's kind of a silly thing. He's not going to let them drown. He's not going to let anything bad happen to them because he's there to teach them. He's there to show them who he really is. And for them to drown and to die in the lake is not what they're supposed to be doing. Is not their destiny, if you will. It's not what God has in store for them. So, but they didn't know that. They were still afraid. They were still kind of learning who Jesus was at the moment. They hadn't really. I mean, they've been around him for a while, but it's still kind of a new idea, a new relationship, a new understanding, and so they're still trying to figure this all out. And this is just one more thing that adds on to all that kind of builds on the character of Jesus, the character of God, and who Jesus really is, being the Son of God. So he's saying, where is your faith? Like, hey, I'm not going to let anything bad happen to you. Do you really think that I would? That's kind of where I think that's going. So then it says the disciples were terrified and amazed, like I had mentioned before. So they were completely terrified, as I would have been. Like, this dude just stopped the weather from happening. Nobody can do that. Not a single person that I know of can do that. And it hasn't been done since. It wasn't done before. It hasn't been done since. And I mean, we can kind of predict what's going to happen. We have ideas that, hey, it's going to snow today. It's going to be sunny today. But really, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen. And even if it does happen, we can't stop it. We can't do anything to prevent it from happening. Jesus did just that. He prevented it from raining. He prevented it from the winds crashing into the boat. He prevented the waves from crashing into the boat. And so he had total control of the situation, even when maybe it felt like he didn't. Like, he knew what was going on. He was in control. So then they asked each other, the disciples asked each other, who is this man? Like, who really is this guy? I mean, we've been following around, we've been experiencing and seeing some of the miracles and teachings. You know, we're learning more about him, we're learning more about the Messiah. But who really is this guy? Like, is he really who he says he is? And I mean, that's a legitimate question to ask, and that's a legitimate question for us to answer. Like, who is this man? Who is Jesus? When he gives a command, even the winds and waves obey him. And so they're wrestling with this idea of Jesus controlling the weather and how that fits into the bigger picture, and how that fits into their relationship with God, how that fits into their understanding of the Messiah. So there's a lot that this experience kind of builds on. It really, I would think it would have woken up a lot of the disciples into taking this relationship, this experience, this moment in time with Jesus more seriously, because this is not something that you just forget. This is not something that you ignore. All the other things, the miracles that have happened before this, you're not going to forget either. But this is a big deal. Like, you were afraid that you were going to die. You were in a situation that you felt like you couldn't get out of. You felt like, okay, this is it. I'm done. But Jesus saved you from that. You're not going to forget that. That's going to impact your life. That's going to change you forever. And so as you think about this story this week, may those words challenge you. May they inspire you. May they push you to really answer that question for yourself. Who is Jesus? Who do I really think he is? But also, may this story change you and help you to grow closer to God, and to hopefully help you have a better understanding of who God is. So that's my hope. That's my prayer for you this week. And let's pray. Father God, thanks for today, for this chance to look at another miracle. And God, may we use it as inspiration to grow closer to you. May we see it for what it is, that this is you showing us and helping us to understand that you've got things, that you've got everything under control. When the world around us seems chaotic, when it seems out of control, and oftentimes it feels that way now still. But whenever it feels that way, God, help us to understand and to know and to believe that you are in control. We ask all this in your name, Jesus. Amen. All right, friends, thanks for watching. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.